All right, this is Colt from Spit and Tex Upholstery. I'm back. I told you. We're busy. I'm trying to pump these out. Luckily, it's winter and the customers aren't stressing. So those are the best months, you know, when you're doing all kinds of stuff. So the 21-foot Crownline. This is one seat. This is the more complicated one. This one's next. This is the one we're doing right now. It's a three-piece. You got three pieces. 1, 2, 3. You have an anchor down the middle. You have a piping that goes around. The top of the two and the third ties in. Bam, one seat. Rock and roll. And you label them accordingly, like I told you. 1, 2, 3, bottom, top, anchor. Right here, I got 4 dots. I got 4 dots on that one. I got 2 dots on that one. I got 1 dot on this one. I got 3 dots on this one, etc., etc. Every little thing. Witness marks. Original patterns. I made the new one a little bit bigger because he was having tear issues. So those are the things that you want to do. 1/8 of an inch, okay? Unless it's a real radical nub on the edge of a seat or something that keeps tearing out, make it a little bit bigger. Put a little bit of foam underneath of it. It's easy peasy, but adjust as you go. Wherever it's tearing out, add a little bit more on that whispered edge, okay? I've said this before. So, this is a sewing video today. We're putting it together. We have all of our patterns traced, as you can see, okay? This is brand new. This is old, okay? I've traced them. I've adjusted them, made them a little bit bigger. That'll be another video for another day. But, you know, worst case scenario, just do a fat 1/8 of an inch all the way around the entire pattern. Do your 1/2 inch sew allowance. Do your witness marks accordingly. Little nibbins, little nips. Mark them all, and you should be fine. And the anchors that you put in the middle of the seats, that's usually where they tear, okay? Most people, well, factory, they're going to tighten them down real hard to get that real radical, you know, expression, you know, that contour, that tuck. It's not really what you need. You want that anchor underneath, that anchor in between. You want it snug. You don't want it tight. You don't want to dive it down in, okay? To get that look. I'm sure it'll look awesome. But yeah, after one summer of boating with the kids getting on and off and, you know, stomping on that and sitting on that, and it could tear away. So you have to think of these things. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you a sewing video real quick. And then the next one will be a piping video or welt cord, whatever you want to call it. And we'll put this old girl together. This will be one finished seat, and then we'll start on this one. This is the more complicated one. This will be a couple videos. I'll go slow on this one. All right, so let's get after it. Okay. So like I said, witness marks are your friends. I've transferred everything onto this new piece that was off of the old piece, okay? As you know. So, trust your markings, trust your measurements. You know, you did this. Okay, so I got 3, and I got 3. I already know that that's where they line up. Okay, like I said, I made a little bit fat. So we're 3 to 3. Okay, that's our first witness mark. And when you make it a little bit bigger, don't freak out if they're off like 1/8 or, you know, 1/4, especially on the round contours. It'll all even out. Okay, make sure your bottom piece is flat. Okay, your right hand, when you're sewing, your right hand dictates the contour. Your left hand just holds the fabric. Your right hand, as you sew, like if you're coming around a corner, your left hand is the only one that moves. boom, you sew into it. I'll show you right now. Okay, so we have a Tech 90. We have a white. This is a really good thread. This is a UV Natural T90 LT. Excellent stuff. Inspect your machine. Before you ever start, wipe down your tables. I told you to use water-soluble paint. You just get a little spray bottle, go around, wipe it all down with a paper towel, especially with me. If you'll notice over there, I have a wood stove. Dust, I mean, it happens quick. You know, if you got a real sterile shop, well, you know, that's different. That means you're in town and I'm happier than you because I'm not. Ha! Okay, so wipe your tables down. Make sure underneath your neck is wiped down. Make sure that your tension. Now look at this. Look at this. This is a common mistake. Look at this. Look how loose that is. You don't want that. You got a knee foot over here. Put that knee foot in. Okay. Give that a tug. When you start off sewing, you want your thread taut. Okay. Always give yourself about 8 to 10 inches. Knee foot, thread behind you. Thread behind you always, doubled up. Always check your bobbin. I just did that. We got enough for this tutorial. What is your stitch count? On the Thor 1541S, I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notches. That's pretty good. That's like about, you'll take note of your machine. Where this is set right now is just above 3.5. This is, this is the lift of my foot down here. Now, if you notice this, see how high my foot lifts up? Okay, now this is my stitch count over here. I'm at a 5. I like the 5. I've already ran a practice piece through. So run a practice piece through, make sure your thread is done, make sure you've got a full bobbin so you don't got to stop, especially if you're doing a top stitch. You don't want to have to stop in the middle and then have to tie it off from the bottom, and that's another lesson actually. So you have your knee lift, set it. You have your thread count, set it. Your lighting, clean it, clean the tables. Prep before you ever start anything and run a practice piece. I've already done that. So, double check and then check again. One shot, one kill when you do this. You can't be wasting material. Okay, so I know this little dive here and this little dive here, they match up 3 and 3. See how I do my circles? Get into the habit of that. It's a good practice. So I'm going to come down here. Sink my needle at a, 1/2 inch forward, back tack. Now, what I said before, your left hand is pretty much stationary. This hand underneath here is what dictates the contour. You see how this comes in here like this and curves? Now watch this. We're going to keep it at a 1/2 inch. Going to go slow for you. Okay? I'm pushing with this hand underneath. And I'm just holding with this top hand. See how I do that? Remember I told you that witness mark would be off about 1/8 of an inch because I made it a little bit bigger. Don't trip on that. Unless you're doing something that is exact, and then make sure that lines up. If that didn't line up and it had to, like with a different material like leather or something, seam rip that out, start over. But you'll see in a minute here. I made this bigger. And I gotta, gotta get this old girl done here. It's okay. So You move it underneath. Now, you see when it comes up sometimes, you can do little snips like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the top. See that? It'll splay it out. When you got waving sew allowances. But just make sure it's flat. You could still get away without doing it. But why not? Why not do it? Okay. So I went to match this up before and I didn't like it. And I only did it at 1/8 of an inch. So I changed it. Okay. Then you can come back. You can look and see where you stand. Witness marks look pretty good to me. It'll round out. And this one, like I said, I made it bigger. I did that earlier. And then I did a shallow run to see what it was going to look like. Because I wasn't sure if I wanted to put foam on this or not. I checked the foam's fine. I don't need to add the foam like I normally do. And don't tug and pull too much, okay? And if you notice this one, it's 1/8 off, just like it was on the top, because I did that intentionally, as you saw, before I even started sewing. And when you see it round, try to sew with the round, okay? And adjust as you go. You keep those margins, okay? And what do we have? Imagine that. Look at that. Lines up perfect. Yeah, I did this a couple times. So you adjust as you go. Sometimes, like if you added some like I did, if your witness mark doesn't add up, you don't have to stop and go over it again. You already know. Okay, now if it's a perfection, a different application when these witness marks there is no quarter. There's lots of room on this piece. This isn't like that. Of course it's important, it's all important. But in this case you'll see. So you see those? Like I said, once that round corner comes around there, I told you I put that 1/8 on there. On the end staple, it doesn't matter. Anything that staples under it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. But your margins in the middle, they do. Everything has to line up, okay? I'm not trying to teach you bad habits, but this is a lesson on, I want you to adapt. I want you to see to where you don't panic and go, oh my God, I have to do a whole new piece. No, you don't. No, you don't. This is real upholstery 101. This is stuff that you're gonna run into. You have to seam rip that whole sew like we just did. We have to seam rip that out and adjust it just a little bit. Well, then do it. If you're not comfortable, I wasn't sure about that piece. I sewed it together just because it's on a contour and it has to be perfect when I go back and put that anchor on there. So we're good because this is all staple underneath. All of this, that whole perimeter folds underneath the seat. So, like I said, I'm not teaching you bad habits. I'm teaching you real-time stuff. This is stuff you're going to run into. We're not twisting wrenches here. We're not rebuilding carburetors. We're putting fabric together. Okay, we're putting leather together. We're putting boats together. So these are little lessons that you'll see. I hope that this wasn't confusing. I'm going to come back in a minute and we're going to do another one. So this is Colt from Spit and Tax Upholstery. I'll see you around like a donut. Hold it down. Hup, hup.